All right. Well, with that, so we wanted to spend the next few minutes, several minutes, allowing our future leaders to do their elevator pitches. So we can just kind of go one by one. I suggested about 1 to 2 minutes, but again, this isn't school. We're not giving you a grade. So if you go over and under, not a big deal. And then we'll try to have about 5 minutes for feedback, questions, things like that. And then we can then go on to the next person. So with that, let's have Erin kick us off.
Thank you. And just thanks ahead for being here, all of you guys. Well, as a future watershed plan engineer, which is a fun word I recently learned, a planner engineer, I would like to design systems that ensure access to high quality water for the next 300 years. As a senior in civil engineering, I've had the opportunity to intern with David Evans and Associate Water Resources team. And so I provided support for water quality, sanitation, and conveyance projects. My next internship will be at Clean Water Services, where I'm going to inventory water quality facilities all over the whole area and then analyze them for capacity, because we have spikier rainfall than we've had in the past. And so it changes the way that the conveyances work. Before pivoting to engineering, I got my bachelor's in biology and a master's in teaching, and I taught for 18 years, science and a little bit of math. And as part of that, I did a lot of green jobs development and restoration work with native plants. My favorite was restoring riparian zones in local urban natural areas. And I was really lucky to work with some fantastic partners like eWeb and City of Eugene. And we developed like a 3 biomes trail that went through all 3 areas: oak savanna, riparian forest, and upland prairie. I worked with students to design and build a passive irrigation system using water catchments. So we took the whole acre and caught all the water, so it all infiltrated on site. And lots of projects like that. I taught for 18 years, and so it was just every year we were doing new things like that. Currently, I'm learning a lot of technical skills with engineering, and I'm working on a GIS multimodal data analysis model that helps. The point is to leverage the transportation funds for water quality to build more habitat. Because one of the things that I was noticing seemed to be happening is that some transportation water quality engineers are really into increasing the habitat. But if it's easy for people to do that, so my program will help cite it, take out some of the pre-work so it gives a little more time, but also pops out a list of native plants appropriate to like slope and infiltration rates and things like that. And so that would hopefully help provide a tool to make making increasing habitat a little easier. And so that's, I've really loved doing hydraulic and hydrologic modeling with XP-SWIM and HEC-RES. And I'm learning about real-time controls and smart cities initiatives. And that was really long. I want to say I added some pieces about the habitat stuff, but that's okay. I'm like, phew, that actually made me really nervous, you guys. I haven't been that nervous in a long time. That's funny. Thank you.
I say done. That was awesome. I think I just have one small thing. When you were talking about like the different kinds of like softwares you've worked with, some of those I'm not really familiar with. So when you kind of said some of those names, I was like, what is that? What was that for? So, and I know we were kind of pressed for time, but just kind of explaining those maybe a little bit more. But of course, if you're working with someone and your pitch is with someone who understands those, great. That was just something I wasn't really clear on. But other than that, it was awesome.
Thank you. And don't be like, don't hold back, guys. I was a little nervous. I'm like sweating a little bit, but I also really love your frank critique and appreciate it.
It was so good. A good smelling sweat though at this point? Erin,
I really like. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Sorry, I don't know if we're doing peer reviews or if we're only going with the, but I was just gonna say that I really like the way that you draw on your experience from teaching and connect that back into what you're doing now. I think that that's really informative because I think that like is really like an important part of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing, Mary. Like, I really appreciated not just the teaching, but the other past internships or like what your experience with DEA, and then what you will be doing at Clean Water Services, and how you're almost telling a story of how it all integrates together into who you are. So I thought that was fantastic. I think this elevator pitch is challenging because I think Brittany, you shared this about telling their story is customizing it for whatever your audience is, and you don't really know what your audience is. So this makes it a little more challenging because you're putting together a generic pitch. But the one thing is, I would say, is continue to look for opportunities for how you added value. It's easy for us in engineering to say, we talk about the project and we talk about the success of the project or what that did. And I was listening for, okay, where did Erin really contribute to, the work that she did, or how do you envision you will contribute to the work you will do? Because that brings you into the story of those projects. I mean, the projects themselves are really compelling, or the work is really compelling, but then how do you fit in, and then specifically the benefit you bring? Because then as a listener, I'm like, oh, this is what she's going to also do for me if we were to bring her on board on this project or into this company or whatever. So that would just be the one thing to really focus in on, I would ask.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you later some specifics about how to do, like, I'll come up with some ideas, because I think for me, putting myself in the middle, first of all, it already feels super long to me, like that much information. I'm like, I would normally share that in more of a natural back and forth, right? But also, I think I probably hesitate to take that credit, because I think of those pieces, even though as a major facilitator and making them happen and planning them and writing grants and things like that, like, I always thought of them and I acted while I was there as if I were really like I'm like more like glue and less like it's me in charge who's making the things happen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'll think about how to put that in a way that I could communicate effectively.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback.
So the only thing I was gonna add to this, and I gotta say, it feels a little bit like, God, what was that show? Maybe it's still on. Where so you think you can sing or whatever, and the British guy was always the last to go, and he was so harsh. I'm not going to be that guy, okay? So but we're not giving you a ticket to Vegas either. So but in all sincerity, I thought that overall it was good. For me, I was sitting here as an employer, listening, like, okay, how do I take this and utilize this person? I understand their passion, I get their passion. How do I utilize them? And at the end of the day, that's what, whether it's myself or Rob on the private side, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to see, how do we utilize your knowledge, your talent, your services, your passion, and for either our clients' benefit or for the benefit of the community we serve. So that's the part I would tell you to do. I loved how you were tying your teaching to this. I would tighten it up and try to get a little more flow, I guess, to from the teaching to where you're at today. So there's a nice continuum there. I'm very sympathetic to teachers. My wife is a recovering teacher, so I totally understand, how that passion translates. But I have that unique perspective. So I would tell you, you know, try to paint that continuum for somebody. That will help you a lot. And then the only other thing I don't know, maybe there was a reason you picked it, but it immediately sparked something for me, and that is, you said 300 years. Is there something specific about 300 years? Why not a millennium? Why not 100 years? You know, so if there was nothing in particular, like there was some sort of scientific paper that said, hey, 300 years, you know, that could lead to a really interesting discussion, right? If there was something like that, I would ask this question. You'd be like, you know what? I'm glad you asked. There's this paper out here, and this paper said this is, you know, and all of a sudden you've really sucked me in, right? Yep. But if there is nothing like that, I'd be really cautious about using something like that, because then you're gonna kind of leave people hanging, like you just arbitrarily picked a number, and it could have been 50, it could have been 1,000. You just picked 300, and you don't want your potential employers to be kind of hanging out there on that. Don't let them fill in the blanks. You fill in the blanks.
Thank you. This is great feedback. I appreciate it. And like, seriously, nobody be afraid. Like, lay it on.
Wait, so Erin, was there something specific with the 300 years? I'm dying too, because I picked up on that as well.
It's a mix. So there's, looking at a lot of our infrastructure, we design for 50 to 100 years. But when we look at the life cycle of, say, succession in an ecosystem or in building up a watershed, it takes a while for things to really settle in. And also, like I said, the infrastructure piece. But no, the short answer is sort of. And the long answer is I'll work on that number.
But what a great answer. Like, and actually you could even refine it to like 122 years, and then really someone will draw in, because that is an amazing answer and it's very thoughtful about big picture focus. So I think as an employer, I'd be like, oh, there's a unique perspective this person is bringing. So yeah. So to Tom's point, I think that's great. And Tom, you're such an engineer that you picked up on that 300 thing. Yeah, that's a great answer, Erin.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your feedback. Like, anybody else? Otherwise, I'd like to introduce Leslie Martinez.
Wow. All right, so ready to move on. All good. Okay, cool. I'll just get started then. So hi, my name is Leslie Martinez. I'm an early career professional, EIT, and recent graduate with a degree in civil engineering. I've worked with Tetra Tech for about 1.5 years, providing design engineering and computer-aided drafting support. As part of the Portland office, I have served multiple small municipalities, such as the cities of Hood River, Lafayette, and Carlton. And I've developed my design and drafting skills by working on a variety of projects, including wastewater pump stations, water transmission mains, stormwater conveyance, and street improvement projects. I've also had the opportunity to conduct on-site inspection while at Tetra Tech, and also at a 6-month internship with ODOT in Astoria, Oregon. And I found that inspection is a really great way to gain real-world insight, and also to test my endurance when it's 2 a.m. and 34 degrees outside, which I've experienced for multiple weeks. And so I've enjoyed like the wide variety of projects I've gotten to support, and I look forward to continuing to learn so much from everyone around me and the different tasks that I'm a part of. And I also value connecting with others, and I seek networking opportunities through employee resource groups and also outside organizations such as SHIP, which is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and PNCWA. Done.
Nicely done.
Thank you. I feel like it's pretty scripted, but
I was gonna say, from the first thing, it felt scripted at the beginning, but I think as you got into it, it felt more natural. And I think your personality really came out, especially kind of when you started to talk about your 2 a.m. Journey. But I thought that was great, because it kind of brought out your personality there. And yeah, I liked how you ended it with kind of what you're looking for and kind of the future.
Hmm.
Yeah, Leslie, great job. And I would like to add in that less fact and more feeling. That
Mhm.
really in the elevator pitch, I heard the facts and I know your qualifications, but
Mhm.
theoretically I could have read that on a resume. And in the elevator pitch, what I'm looking for, at least when I'm talking to people, is looking for someone that really inspires me to want to get to know more about them. And so, like the
Mhm.
moment when you said that 2 a.m. endurance, for me, that was that moment where I was like, oh, like this is pretty cool. Like, tell me more. I felt like I wanted more of that. That'd be
Right.
my bit of advice that I give you is just more feeling, more funny, like what Stephanie said of that feeling of geeking out with someone. You want to have
Mhm.
that geek out moment.
Mhm. Right. Yes. I appreciate it. And I feel that too, like while I'm saying it, I'm like, man, this is very just like, this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I did insert that 2 a.m. thing, because I was like, I feel like sometimes I'm funny, so I should put something in there.
Well, it really shined through. It was
Mhm.
very apparent. And
Okay.
yeah, it's funny you say that because that was the big moment for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, Leslie, I appreciated through that, like, especially nowadays when you're looking at resumes, they're all very similar. So I think you did a great job of highlighting your past work experience. And so I'm like, okay, I get what she's worked on. That helps right away because it starts to, okay, can this person help me in the projects I've got coming up? And I like the kind of the outside of work aspect, the connecting with others that you closed with. That was really good.
Mhm.
I would echo a little bit of what Sam said. Brittany can tell you this too, Brittany Park. But the things that I personally look for after having been in the industry for a couple decades, is energy and passion. Um,
Mhm.
if someone has that and they've got the engineering degree, I'm pretty sure that everything else can be, taught over a period of time. As long as we do a good job as a firm or an agency of building that skill set into someone, which is why I think I emphasize supervisors and mentors so much. But the energy and passion, you can't teach as much.
Mhm.
And so, like when you closed with that, like your enjoyment of connecting with others, I'm like, oh, tell me more. Like, and so it's a
Mhm.
great close actually, because
Mhm.
um, the other thing that I was hoping to hear a little bit more in your elevator pitch is because it's generic, you don't know like what job you're applying for or whatever. Put in there what you're looking for or what gets you excited or what your hope is for the direction of your career and why you'd be interested in joining such and such firm or whatever. And this is really ironic for me to say this, but most job interviews, project interviews, Tom interviews all types of consultants for TVWD. Brittany, I'm sure you will as well for the City of Portland, but I think an interview goes best when the client or the interviewer ends up doing a majority of the speaking, because people
Mhm.
love to hear about themselves, right? We're all like kind of inherently self-focused for one degree or another. And so in an elevator pitch, if there's a way to start to shift the dialogue to the other person as well, that would be really valuable. And the way to do that is share what you're excited about, what you want to see, because then people start envisioning, okay, this is what it's going to look like when we bring Leslie on board. Um, so yeah, but I mean, great stuff in there with what you shared, and your delivery was really good too.
Thank you. I feel like since I've gone out of school, I haven't practiced public speaking a lot. So I was like, oh no.
So I'll just quickly Rob and I are singing the same song here. We're on the same page. Obviously we've kind of been doing this a while, I think, Rob. But what I would actually tell you and Aaron to sit together and work together on this, because you both need a little mix of each other. it was really good. The part that I was looking for is that passion, that part that translates it into who are you? That real core, who are you? I got a couple of snippets in that definitely got my interest. And as somebody who does a lot of interviewing, and you're giving away a bit of my preview here of what I'm going to talk about, but in all honesty, you would have gotten me asking you a lot of questions, which is a good thing. That is a strategy when you do interviewing, is develop your presentation, develop your responses that invite questions. That when you get that going, man, that's the sweet spot. You are cooking. So that's what you're looking for, and you would have invited me in certainly to be like, all right, Leslie, I got some questions for you.
Right.
But I would have wanted to see a little less of the feeling of scripted response and a little more of the who's Leslie. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, I know when I did my recent interview for the job I have now, like towards the end of the interview, it felt more like a conversation. And I felt like that was great. So I feel like if I walk out of an interview and I felt like I was having a conversation with them, I feel like that's a successful interview.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that too. And I think one thing that's difficult for me is sort of like bringing the energy right from the beginning. I'm somebody who's like, once I get a feel for the energy, like, we're good, I got it, I'm comfortable. But that start is pretty hard.
Yeah, and I think I saw that, like, start off, but yeah, it came in towards the end. So and then now it just comes with practice and, doing it all the time. Cool. But there's no one else that wants to give anything, then we'll pass it off to Mary.
Okay. I'm that terrible student that was not prepared, so I get to hear an off the cuff. We'll see how it goes. So my name is Mary Martin, and I joined Tetra Tech as a civil engineer after graduating from University of Portland 2 years ago. And I didn't intend to work in water, but I kind of fell into it. A lot of what I'm doing is water modeling for distribution and sewer systems and identifying their deficiencies and making recommendations. So I would like to transition those skills into surface water modeling for water quality. Living in the Pacific Northwest, we're surrounded by like so many beautiful bodies of water, and I want to keep them that way. And as we can see the beautiful water, I want to make sure everyone has clean, safe water to drink as well. So in order to move myself toward that goal, I started my master's at Portland State University. I'm doing that in conjunction with my work at Tetra Tech, and I'm getting a degree in environmental engineering with a focus in water resources. So my ultimate goal is to be able to work with surface water bodies and water quality, preferably in a municipality. It's me.
That was great. I definitely saw the your personality in there, and I really liked how you kind of admitted that you weren't trying to get into water, and it kind of found you, because I think we've mentioned in the past that a lot of us in the water industry kind of got in that way, and it's a great way to kind of show that you got into it and now you're even more interested and you're really trying to pursue that path even more so.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mary, I thought it was really good. I thought it was short. I thought it was sweet. That it was just kind of exactly what you want to hear. start to finish. I got some experience, I got some passion, I know what you want. And, you know, if I was the person giving the job, I would know a little bit more of where to put you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mary, I'm struggling trying to find some constructive feedback because I felt like and what also was beautiful about your elevator pitch is I think you tailored it around exactly what you're looking for, which is great. So you talked about your background and how that translates or meshes with your personal desires. I thought like what Tom had said, like in my mind, my next follow-up question would be like, well, so how did you fall into water? So you did a great job in your pitch, you know, inviting the follow-up questions, and then, but also specifically talking about what you're looking for. That makes it really easy. And then, yeah, the flow, the time, the length of time, all of that was perfect. So I'm an engineer by training. We're supposed to like look for problems and find those problems, and I am failing as an engineer right now with your elevator pitch. So great job.
Thank you. I worry a little bit as like someone who is, you know, not too far into their career being very specific about what I want, because I feel like I am a little more at the mercy of whoever's hiring me. So I don't know, you don't think that's a drawback? I think that's a good thing to say exactly what you're looking for?
I don't think so, as long as you're interviewing for that position. So
Right.
like if you're talking to the city of Portland or Clean Water Services, who does that surface water modeling in a municipal agency, sure. If you're talking to Sam and Sam's looking for someone to help with modeling at Brown and Caldwell, or me as a private entity, we'd be like, that sounds great. We'll introduce you to folks we know, kind of thing. So yeah, but again, tailoring that pitch to the job you're looking for, right? I mean, I think it's easily transition to any specific job. So I like the clarity once you know what you're looking for.
And I think kind of like what Rob said, you know, like, you know, even if it's not someone that, or, you know, that he's looking for, but he could connect you with someone who is looking for that. So being kind of direct on what you're looking for, that helps, you know, open up those opportunities and allows people to give you those opportunities.
The next phase, negotiation, like that's key for that, because you know exactly what you want and you can demand it. And I think that's a strong position to be in versus just, you know, going with whatever they think they want you to be. I think it gives you some more negotiation power. And I've had, this is like more geographical, I've had friends who have said like, great, you want to put me here, but I want to live in Portland. And they're like, okay. And then they transferred them to Portland immediately because they wanted to keep them. So like, it's always just good to say what you want, because then you'll get it. Or if you don't, at least you asked, you know, at least you tried.
And in my current position, I'll kind of say that, and my boss will be like, oh, I know of these people that are kind of doing that. Let me help get you connected and, you know, involved with that. So, yeah, tell them.
I can't add anything. Everybody hit on it, so.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yay, that was awesome. I think that was pretty great. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of that. And I know I got some tips, so I can make my pitch better too.